And the reason that I'm thinking about making this a video, right, Tectone talking to Mr. Pokey about power creep and Honkai Star Rail, is because I'll be able to give the whole Wuthering Waves and the Kuro games perspective on quite possibly one of the worst mechanics that can exist in gacha gaming. Power creep. When something like power creep happens in a gacha game, it literally sucks for so many individuals in the player base. The only people that it really benefits when it comes to power creep is literally individuals who are constantly spending money on the game and are able to pull every single new banner and every single new character and weapon, because they don't care, right, if other older members of the roster get devalued, lose power, because they're always going to have the newest and the shiniest things. In my opinion, power creep is something that hasn't really happened at all in Wuthering Waves. There are people claiming that, like, oh, Gion 1.0 character is not good anymore. Oh, Jinsey power creeped him in 2 patches, or not in a single patch. He still performs fine. He still blows up content. He's still amazing. It's been 7 months into the game, and I'm still destroying all the content with him, with, like, you know, not very many sequence dupes, that sort of thing at all. He's basically like an S0 character, and he's demolishing everything that I have thus far. We haven't seen really many releases at all that are blowing the top off when it comes to performance. We still have to see what lies in store for the rest of 2.0, but things are looking great for Wuthering Waves. Now let's go ahead and let's see what's going on in Honkai Star Rail.
All right, so you want to just get into this shit?
Up to you, man.
All right, yeah, let's do it. All right, so here's what we're going to do, and I kind of want to use this as a tutorial for anybody watching, because I know the majority of people that you argued with, debated with, are all in the chat right now, so I kind of want to do this as like a learning example on how to actually debate and communicate as human beings.
So Pokey was basically in a 1v4 scenario that he claims he won. Sound a little bit familiar to anybody? He was in a 1v4 scenario with good old Kappa Cabinets, with VXV Fiction, with Ethan, and Connor's Thoughts. And so a lot of people kind of like went into it thinking that, like, oh, 4 people were gonna win against 1. Unfortunately, what happened is there was a lot of talking over other people's points, not really like a cohesive train of thought for how they wanted to dismantle the arguments of Mr. Jokey. And what ended up happening was not the best approach to take down such a wild argument that power creep isn't a problem, because it is. We got Cap saying it's a lot harder to talk as a group of 4. Yeah, you guys have 4 heads and 1 body, and unfortunately you don't have that much practice moving in unison. So that didn't work out too well. And basically what Tectone is saying here, let me just play back the line.
All in the chat right now, so I kind of want to be this as like a learning example on how to actually debate and communicate as human beings.
So basically what he said is that the 4 people, perhaps potentially Pokey too, were not communicating as human beings. And so I actually haven't seen that call myself. And so I cannot validate whether that claim is true. And so let that simply be, I guess, the viewpoint that good old Techless has coming into this.
Now, I will say, first things first, and you're more than welcome to cut me off at any time. Right. I would like to say I'm going into this conversation with nothing but good faith in terms of Mr. Pokey. The only thing that I want right now, I do not seek to embarrass this man. I seek to inform the chat.
Pause. I do not seek to embarrass this man. Let me just show you guys what the thumbnail is for this video. I had to punish this man. And we got Pokey over here looking like a real bad boy. Even got the emo fringe, the angry expression on his face. Bro looks like he's in some trouble. Bro looks like he's about to get corrected by Big Daddy. Your editor might be proving you wrong right off the bat.
I would like to say I'm going into this conversation with nothing but good faith in terms of Mr. Pokey. The only thing that I want right now, I do not seek to embarrass this man. I seek to inform the chat, and both of us get to a mutual understanding and closer towards the truth of this matter of what I only assume to be, and I use that word very specifically, the power creep issue in Honkai Star Rail.
Yep.
Okay, I would like to state my biases. Obviously, chat, before getting into this conversation, I would like to let you know that I am a content creator who has been blacklisted from Hoyoverse. I do not have any financial incentivization from the company themselves. In terms of Hoyoverse, they have agreed to never sponsor me again unless I'm able to seek that from third party, aka Twitch. I have no reason to back this company whatsoever. However, there is some financial incentivization as far as the YouTube and Twitch goes to cover their content and farm a couple subs off of it. Okay. Would you like to state your biases, Mr. Pokey, or no?
Over here like it's the fucking court of law. I didn't know we had to be this official about the situation.
Yeah, same. The only bias is they gave me the creator early access, and I made those videos. Pretty much it. I don't have like contract. I don't have like a monthly salary. It's basically it.
Whoa, that's new information, guys. I do believe there are a couple of people that have been saying the opposite. So apparently, the only advantage that Mr. Pokey has is early access to the creator server, and not actually any established contract where he gains revenue, monthly salary, or just like any payment from Hoyoverse at all. So there's no actual money exchanging hands here, or so he claims.
Great. So let's start with something that I'm going to teach everybody at in the chat which is the pre-argument phase.
Okay.
All right.
Should I type this off?
No, you don't have to. But this is something that is really important to do to actually make sure that you two are talking about the same thing. This is really important because, like, for example, someone could say that they believe in God, and another person could say they don't believe in God, and they could be still sharing the same beliefs. And the reason why that is because if you don't know which God they're referring to, then they actually don't know what they're arguing about. So that's why it's really important to establish that there is a disagreement to begin with. Yeah, so let me make sure I'm understanding this clearly. What definition of power creep are you using?
The Wikipedia definition.
What the fuck? There's a Wikipedia definition? All right, hope he pulls it up.
Okay, which is what?
Which is power creep definition. Noun power creep. Collectible games, the situation where successive updates or expansions to a game introduce more powerful units or abilities, leaving the older ones underpowered.
I mean, that makes sense to me. Yep, new releases make the old ones look like shit.
Okay, great. Now, I would like to say before we begin this chat, I more so agree with Mr. Pokey than I disagree. This is not a conversation where I'm seeking to disprove everything that he's saying, because I do believe in a lot of what he's saying is holding a lot of truth. I am going to scrutinize it slightly, but to flat out disprove everything he says, well, the thing is that you guys have to realize is that Mr. Pokey essentially just said grass is green, and then everybody got upset about it. Right, so there is no need for me to go and disprove everything that he's saying, but I want to talk about a deeper meaning and understanding of what the game set of Honkai Star Rail means and how it affects his players, and see if he still positively supports that. So,
that's great. Yeah.
I think it would be fair to assume that...
So, it seems like kind of heading on into this, Techie seems like he's going to be a little bit soft when it comes to the situation.
This whole topic of conversation was started based off the root point, which is HSR has a power creep problem only if you allow it to happen, either by greed or stupidity. Change my mind.
Isn't this one of the most diabolical tweets in gacha gaming? This has to be genuinely the most diabolical tweet that was ever made in the history of gacha gaming. There was like so many analogies that you could make that related back to the real world, and none of them are good. It's like, robbery is only a problem if you allow it to happen, either by greed or stupidity. Just don't go outside. Don't have a car. If you get robbed, it's your fault. Just don't go outside, dumbass. What'd you think was gonna happen? Stupid. The city doesn't have a crime problem. Just don't get robbed, dumbass.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, now, do you still stand by this tweet?
I am standing by my point, and I'm waiting for someone to change my mind.
Okay, great.
I mean, y'all had 4 people. We have 4 people, and we could not change this guy's mind on this absolutely stupid statement. This was like an open layup. This was like the goalie wasn't at the net, and we still fumbled. Technically 6, if you count Box and Jenna. Guys, this is like minus 1,000 aura across all 6 of you. Minus 1,000 aura. Guaranteed. It's been 3 days since bro made this tweet, and he's like, my mind hasn't changed yet. I guess Eastern CCs really are just better, ladies and gentlemen. Eastern CCs really are just better. I guess Rexlet was right. Actually, now that I read this, 6 technically, I guess Pokey was doing Div 6 holograms on Twitter. Pokey was doing difficulty 6 holograms on Twitter. Insane.
Right. All right. Super simple. All right. So just before I begin talking about this, why do you think you believe this? Like, why do you think that you believe this?
Okay, so like, I've explained myself like a lot. I think first of all, I think
What does it mean to be a pseudo Eastern CC? What do you guys think being a pseudo Eastern CC means? Ooh, I wonder what they're talking about.
believe that there is a difference between whether or not there's power creep, and as well as whether or not power creep is a problem.
Yes, I do agree. Absolutely. I think there are games like World of Warcraft where power creep is natural and it has to happen and it actually feels good.
And you want to know what, guys? Wuthering Waves 2.0 had a lot of power creep. You want me to show an example of the power creep in Wuthering Waves and how it's not a problem? There's a massive amount of power creep in Wuthering Waves, and it's called Nightmare Echoes. It's called Nightmare Echoes. Boom! And guess what? It's completely better in every single way to echoes like this. But guess what? You want to know what players of Wuthering Waves are doing? They're cheering for this power creep. They're happy that this power creep got added into the game because it's accessible to everybody, much like what Tectone is talking about in World of Warcraft. Things got stronger, other things got weaker, but everything is fine. Maybe that's what the video is. Wuwa ruined power creep because that's what they did. Guess what? This is power creep for coordinated attacks. And it's good. It's fine because guess what, guys? You don't have to pay for it. It's easily accessible. Everybody can get it. Every character in the game got stronger. You want to know what else was power creep? This guy in version 1.3. This made Verina's rotations 5,000% smoother because this echo skill can be activated in the air. And now she became even stronger the second this thing released. Because in the past, her rotation speed was slowed down by the fact that the Geochalone, you had to be on the ground to activate it. But now that this can be used in the air, she's now even smoother to play and has even faster rotations. Wow. So Kuro has actually been power creeping the game every single patch, but they've been doing it in a way that doesn't make players feel like their past things have been devalued, or that they've lost something. And that's the right way to do it. And that's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when the devs aren't trying to nickel and dime you for every fucking dollar that you have. If only Poke played Wuwa a little bit more. Thanks for following. Is this considered power creep or just quality of life? It's power creep. I literally said that other things in the game are now weaker because of it. The old Thundering Mephis is a complete piece of shit now. Nobody's ever gonna grind the Thundering Mephis ever again. Never again. Nobody is ever using the regular Thundering Mephis. It has been power crept completely, but people are cheering for the fact that it got power crept. That's the big difference here.
Has to happen, and it actually feels good. I think
Feels
it's
good,
completely
yep.
fine when Vanilla becomes Burning Crusade becomes Wrath of the Lich King, Wrath of the Lich King becomes Cataclysm, and everything from pre-existing expansions essentially gets reset. I'm okay with that. Now, I do like how there are some certain cosmetics that carry over, but as far as having to redo the power balance, I think that's absolutely fine. So yes, I do agree that power creep is sometimes good and sometimes it's bad, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've established power creep can sometimes be good. It's just a natural progression of the game. A lot of echo skills in Wuwa were dog shit to use and completely ass and like unusable like the Mephis. And so they power crept it and made it better for everybody.
The reason why I wanted to bring up this point is because I'm just gonna compare like gacha games. So, gacha game like Zenless Zone Zero, I think there is a very strong power creep in terms of like Miyabi versus Ellen Jo. She's like a lot stronger. They are both
Absolutely.
ice DPS, and every role that you want to use Ellen Jo, you would just use Miyabi. I think that is a sign of power creep. But
I don't think Miyabi was good power creep. I feel like Miyabi was actually really bad power creep. Because again, think about all of the people who pulled Ellen Jo and they pulled her to S6 and then they find out that an S0 Miyabi actually does more damage than the character that they've literally spent thousands of dollars on. Yeah, that's probably not good. That's probably not good for the game. Your Ellen Jo had a lifetime. She expired after 6 months. Your Ellen Jo expired after 6 months of gameplay.
I don't think that is a power creep problem for almost anyone, because there's nothing that really makes a player feel like they're in pain using Ellen Jo. You know what I'm saying?
There's nothing that makes a player feel like they hate using Ellen Jo. What do you mean? That's just bullshit. That's just complete bullshit. I spent all this time, resources, money on building this character, and now they're immediately outclassed by something in the game that's like much more affordable to get, easier to use too. Okay.
Zenless
Wait,
Zone Zero's
sorry,
ending content
sorry.
is so
Can
accessible,
you repeat
and, like,
what?
there's
Can
a
you
lot of
repeat?
side games like Tower where even if you are someone that's not running Miyabi, you can still do everything.
Right. So you said
So that's why it's
something.
not a problem.
You said something around the middle mark that
All right, so I guess the claim that we're making here is that Ellen Jo getting power crept into infinity and beyond is not a problem because Ellen Jo can still be used in endgame content. That's not the point. The fact that she's still usable in endgame content doesn't matter. It's the fact that there's now a super max version of the character that literally does everything that she did better, and immediately it devalues the purchase of what you just made in such a short span of time. Let's just say, guys, you bought something on Amazon, right? You bought a coffee maker on Amazon for $20. And then a month later, they come out with a coffee maker that's literally 3 or 4 times better. That's literally 3 or 4 times better and the exact same price. Makes 3 to 4 times better coffee. Would you not be upset by the fact that your old coffee maker is now literally dog shit compared to the new one? Oh, but it still makes coffee. It still gives you caffeine to fuel you for the rest of the day. Why are you complaining? That's what you sound like right now. And the fact that it's in a gacha game and you're bending over backwards to, again, defend Hoyoverse for shitty practices, I don't get it. I genuinely don't. I don't get it. What about Yao and Calcaro? Calcaro is a free character. You didn't pay money for Calcaro. You literally get him for free. He's literally free. And Yao was also free too. They're both free. So again, if you're not paying money for something, what's the point? It's not a comparison. The idea here is that when you pay money, invest into something, you're literally losing value on the money that you spent. And that is the problem. Okay, so clearly we have somebody that's just arguing for the sake of semantics.
Oh, well, actually, standard banner characters aren't free because in theory, you could never lose a 50-50 and you could just get every single limited character and you'll never lose a 50-50 and pull them on the bench.
Shut up. Just shut up. It's such a disingenuous point that you're trying to make when you know that everybody is going to get Calcaro at some point. Unless you buy some level of God, end up never losing a 50-50 ever again. It's just such a well, actually moment that's so cringe, and you know the point is disingenuous, but you still keep making it. Every time the discussion is had, you know it's bullshit. You know it's wrong. Just stop it.
Something not a problem.
You said something around the middle mark that I just didn't quite catch. Could you say that one more time? It was about Ellen Joe does something.
All right, so whatever you go on to run with Ellen Joe, Miyabi can do it better.
Yes.
So that is a power creep.
Okay. All right.
But
okay.
like from this current standpoint right now, from what I see, I can't predict like the future. There's no power creep problem yet.
Okay. All right.
There's no power creep problem yet. So, I do believe that the argument that Pokey is making here is that because you can still clear content with the power creeped character, there's not a power creep problem. This, again, I can see where this makes sense, but this absolutely does not address at all the devaluing of prior purchases. That is just not factored into the equation at all.
All right,
Yeah, that's
so
no problem. Yep.
okay,
Yep.
Awesome. So this is your tweet, and let's just break this down. So my job, what I am trying to do here, is the only thing that I want to have happen is you see what I believe to be a user error of this tweet.
Have you graduated, like, at least medium tier education? Like, are you, like, still in middle school? I'm a uni grad. Refund your degree.
I believe to be a user error of this tweet. And what that user error is you saying, now, once again, I thought this was hilarious, and this is a tweet that I think I would make. Okay, that's why I didn't combat you at all on this. I said I knew he was capping Wars back on the menu. This tweet made me so fucking happy, full disclosure. This was awesome. And you know what? It gave as much content as I was foreseeing. All right. HSR has a power creep problem only if you allow it to happen, either by greed or stupidity. Change my mind. All right. So this tweet to me reads, and I think it reads to everyone, that HSR power creep is not by design. It's only by player stupidity.
That is how it reads. Because you're saying that the problem only exists if you allow it to happen. So you are the one who is responsible for the problem. And that's simply how it reads. And so obviously, right, Techie has gotten a little bit, or he's really dove into like the idea of like farming. He was like, yeah, I would have made a tweet like this. It got exactly the response that I was looking for. It's convenient that Pokey made a tweet like this just as Tectone was like announcing that he was taking a break. There must always be a Lich King. There must always be a Lich King. As they say. And so Tectone got off the frozen throne for about a day or two, and then Pokey decided to put on the helmet for a little bit, and this is what ended up happening. This is what ended up happening.
Because this tweet says, this issue only happens if you allow it. So would you not agree that this is essentially feigning ignorance to a company's malpractices?
That's a big one. Feigning ignorance to a company's malpractices. And it is, because you're literally only blaming the players for this problem.
No. Because this is basically me saying that power creep doesn't exist, right? Or rather, power creep is not caused by the company, it's caused by the player.
Okay.
But I'm not talking about the existence of power creep. It's to whether or not power creep is a problem for the player.
Okay. So, all right. So if there was,
I think Pokey might have been reading a couple too many EO tweets. He might have been reading a couple too many EO tweets. Because holy shit, that was some fucking masterful wordplay in that I don't actually know what the fuck he just said. He managed to say a full sentence and the Riddler is back. I think I need to replay that just to hear it again.
that this is essentially feigning ignorance to a company's malpractices?
No. Because this is basically me saying that power creep doesn't exist, right? Or rather,
I'm gonna need a notepad. Actually. This is me saying power... I feel like I need to play it again.
Company's malpractices.
no. Because this is basically me saying that power creep doesn't exist, right? Or
This is me saying power creep doesn't exist.
rather, power creep is not caused by the company, it's caused by the player.
Not caused by company, caused by player.
Okay.
But I'm not talking about the existence of power creep. It's to whether or not power creep is a problem for the player.
Not talking about power creep existence. Talking about whether or not power creep is a problem to the player.
Okay. So, all right. So if there was a massive hole in the road, right?
Okay.
It's a giant crater in the road, and there was a sign up that says jump, but a lot of cars can't jump or use a plane. Wouldn't you still think that that road doesn't work?
It would be a very bad road, yes. To the point where the cars can't even pass through unless they have a plane. That would be a very bad road.
Yes. So I think even though this issue could be circumvented by strategizing and proper monetary and time and investing, this issue isn't caused by the players. The causation is the company, but it's up to the players to solve it.
The causation of power creep is because of the company. Well, I 100%
Yes.
agree.
Great.
And yes, it is up to, yep, I never said otherwise. But yeah, whether or not this power creep's existence, does it affect the player, is based on like what they do.
Right. Now, I
Knowing
do
that there is
think,
power creep, yep.
I do think,
Caused by the company, not players. It's up to players. Pokey agrees. Up to players to deal with it. Yeah, that's pretty obvious. And glad Pokey agrees with that. Power creep's effect on player is up to the player. Let's keep listening.
I do think that you did say that, because when you're saying that, and I quote, this is only a problem if you allow it to happen, right? I mean, that is putting the fault on the players.
If it's a problem, it's because they allow it to happen. Yes.
Right. But the thing is, the company made the issue happen. The players can solve it, but it's not the players' fault that it happened. So,
Okay, what is the issue that is created from this? What would you say the issue is? I'm not
Okay.
talking about whether power creep exists, but like, what is the issue caused by power creep?
Okay. All right. So I haven't changed your mind yet. There's a company. Because I'm going to get to there. So I haven't changed your mind because I do these. There's a company problem first, and then a consumer issue second. I think it would be fair to say that the company did want power creep to exist, and I'm going to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Great.
We have a Pokey chatter truly displaying a shocking lack of intelligence. And it's a common trend that we always see when it comes to these types of chatters. Let's dive into it. I can't wait. These power creep drama when Wuwas will make much more OP character than Carlotta is now. You want to know why Carlotta is strong, chatter? I'll show you why Carlotta is strong, chatter. I'll show you firsthand why she's strong. And then maybe after you see here, you might be able to raise your IQ from below average to a little bit higher. You want to know why Carlotta is strong? Because Carlotta has a Sonata set that effectively grants you 70.5% damage bonus, right? If you add all of these numbers together, you get to 70.5% damage bonus. If you look at every other set in the game, it's 40%. So Carlotta, right off the bat, because she has a customized Sonata set for her, she has 30.5% additional damage compared to every other Sonata set in the game. And so think about it this way, chatter. If power creep is going to be as big of a problem as you're saying, right? You wanna know what would be funny? What if they just released another Sonata set that brought all of the characters in the game, or multiple Sonata sets, that simply have a similar effect to Carlotta's? Did you think about that, buddy? Or do you not actually play Wuthering Waves, and so you don't actually know the systems that are in there, and you're actually claiming that power creep is going to happen, even though you have no fucking idea what you're talking about? I think the latter is actually what's happening. You don't actually play the game, and you have no clue what's going on. What's the deal here? What's the situation here? Which situation is true? Do you actually play Wuthering Waves? Do you actually know what anything in this game actually does? Or are you just talking out of your ass? Now you're asking me for proof about Kuro games when I literally already showed what Nightmare Echoes are and how they work? We already said that power creep is in the game. It's simply not on the gacha. You want to know where you get Carlotta's set from? You don't pay for it. You don't pay for Carlotta's set. You grind it. You get it for free. You know Nightmare Echoes, the power creep that I talked about? You don't pay for that. You grind it in the game. How are Nightmare Echoes making Kuro Games money when they're free? Can you tell me how Nightmare Echoes are making money for Kuro Games when they're free? I think Twitch needs to add, instead of like a VIP, it's like very unimportant person, and it has like a propeller hat. It has like the hat with like the spinny thing on it, and I can just use that to tag people in the chat, because this has to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. I literally just told you why Nightmare Echoes are good for the game, and you're talking about adding them like it's a problem, when I literally just talked about how it's good power creep for the game, and you're like using them as like a gotcha to imply that they're bad, when we've given every single reason for why it's good. Kids, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you stay in school. This is why you stay in school. Because holy shit, I think it's above 75% chance this person is unemployable because they're too fucking stupid to actually hold a job. I think even McDonald's would fire you. I'm not even joking. I've never actually seen somebody who's like this unable to like form coherent sentences together. I don't need you lowering the collective IQ of my chat.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so this issue is now no longer a player issue. We can both agree on that. This is a company first, but the players do have the power to fix that issue. That's pretty much the only thing that I wanted to talk about. And I think that's a lot of things that my community want to talk about as well. You know, the community that's been shitting on you for fucking 72 hours. By the way, moderating that community sucks balls. Because I'm the only guy. I am the only mod for 19,000 people. It sucks. All right.
Hey, Techie, that's a self-inflicted issue, buddy. That's a self-inflicted issue, buddy. You can just add more mods.
So, power creep is created by the company. It's up to the players to solve it. I actually do believe it can be solved. Absolutely. Now, what you asked me is, just to make sure, you asked me, what is the problem with that? Or is that not your question?
What is the problem with what?
Yeah, so I wanted to make sure there was a company issue first and a player issue second. You said, what is the problem with power creep?
Yeah. Like, what do you think is the problem derived from power creep?
Oh boy, there are so many things. There are simply so many things that good old Tactone could say. So many things that could be said. I'm excited to see the list.
Okay.
Like, the problem. Yep.
Okay, now once again, I would like to say that I do think power creep can be good in a lot of games. I think it's completely fine in World of Warcraft, to give an example, because I'm okay with expansions power creeping previous existing gear. Guys, I'm sure we would all agree with that's fine in certain scenarios. I feel like that's just common sense that, you know, power creep happens in MMOs and it's fine. Every new expansion is like that. But power creep in gacha games, I feel like is a totally different beast. And the reason why that is now players are not only investing thousands of hours, but now they're also investing thousands of dollars. Now, I do believe that every character can work if you fully invest in them and you build a team fully invested for them. However, I don't think it feels good when the clears feel more so, you know, when Jing Yuan first came out and it was like, oh yeah, Jing Yuan, fucking Lightning Lord, banish them, big dagger, huge fucking damage appearing across the board. It felt fucking great. Now, Jing Yuan can still totally work, But the problem is, it doesn't feel like Jing Yuan's winning. It feels like Ruan Mei, Sparkle, fucking Acheron, or not Acheron, or what's his name, the gay guy, Adventurine. Is like taking him by the legs and dragging him across the finish line, saying, "Come on, old man, you're gonna clear this whether you like it or not." And it doesn't feel like these characters are clearing anymore. It feels more so that I'm dragging their cold, lifeless body across the finish
Based and true.
line and saying, "Yeah, guys, see, look, it's a fucking Jing Yuan clear." No, it's not. It's support Star Rail. It's fucking insane. So that's one of the issues, is that the characters that I want to feel good using, it feels more so that, like, rather than pull a character and it feel good, it's more like have these supports and make them look good by dragging their carcass across the finish line.
While power creep equals good, gacha ones where character becomes weaker, plus needs more investment, pull/money, drag lifeless corpse equals bad. And we can all agree with that.
The other thing is that in these games, now I'm very personally affected by this. Full disclosure, Kafka is my favorite female from Honkai Star Rail. We all know it.
Just quit the game at this point, bro. Just quit the game. Dot's dead. Kafka's dead. Kafka's dead. Black Swan's dead. Just quit the game. Just join the club, man.
I am a sufferer of one of the poor folk, the poor common folk who still believes that Dot can work, Dot can change. Please, Honkai Star Rail, please release a Dot enabler. Can you please release a character that I want to use? Now, obviously, I had the opportunity to use the gay fox guy. I don't know his name. I think it's Xing Cho.
Did he say a Genshin Impact character's name? Why did he say a Genshin Impact character's name?
Or Jiao Fu, Jiao Cho. Because power creep exists, that is making me want to pull for a unit that I don't want, just so I can use the characters that I do want.
That's a good point. Have to pull characters Tectone doesn't want, gay ones, to clear with ones he likes.
Efficiently. Now, it sucks because I'm gonna be real, bro, I was getting my ass beat in MOC. And so I, like the little pay piggy that I was, I pulled for Black Swan's Light Cone and I pulled for E1 Constellation just because I wanted to be able to use these characters like I once did. Because when the characters first came out, they felt fucking fantastic. But now they feel so shit to what I could be using. It just makes me as a player feel stupid while I'm playing them. It feels like ass.
Guys, remember yesterday when I had my E1 Black Swan and E1 Ron May and Kafka team, and it took us 7 cycles to clear the MOC? I remember that. Yep. Bitch boss was Lightning Week 2. My boss was Lightning Week 2. 7 cycles to clear the MOC. Wow, what a game. What a game. My E2 blade hitting for 16k.
And I don't like this part where I'm getting to. Now I need to pull Eidolons for them to feel the same as, let's say, something that the Bugatti of Honkai Star Rail players use, which is the fart team.
Pull that out. Bugatti of HSR equals fart team. Bei Xiao, Adventurine, Robin, Partak, Topaz.
Right? Right, and I have some other points to talk about because this issue obviously exists in other games. It absolutely does. However, guys, I want to remind you guys that in the 1800s, everybody had slaves. Just because everybody's doing it doesn't mean that it's okay. So this is an issue with Honkai Star Rail that I also see that is very easily circumventable by using incomparables, but I don't want to get to that yet. But yeah, that's so far my issue is the characters that I want to use, I'm now feeling like I have to pull other shittier characters to make them feel a quarter as good as other characters. And it doesn't feel like I'm playing the characters. It feels more so I'm dragging the characters along rather than winning with them.
Okay, right. I think whatever you're feeling is 100% valid, right? But I do think that, let's just talk about the first, which is Jing Yuan, right? Now Jing Yuan feels like he's like a support, like he's dragged by the supports compared to last time. because it's basically like a Robin showcase or like a Sparkle, like a Sunday showcase, and it makes you really, really strong. I think this point inherently, it's a little bit hard to prevent from happening because Honkai Star Rail at the end of the day is like majority focused on team building. Even if you don't factor in like Robin or like Sunday, Jingyuan is still extremely powerful, much more powerful if you were to use him with the right supports like Ting Yun or like Bronya or like Asta. So it's not really a case of like recently Jingyuan got dragged. It's more like supports are like an integral part of the game to Honkai Star Rail. So whenever they release
Okay. Are an integral part of HSR from Pokey.
these support units that make all these units like stronger, I don't think it's that bad because it is kind of like how the game is meant to be played. I think an example right here is, for example, all these other games like in like Wuthering Waves or like in Xenophon Zero or even Genshin Impact, if you wanted to play like an old unit and they felt really, really strong, you technically could if you wanted to play them like solo or like no hit runs, and they would still feel really, really strong. Because team building, I would say, for all these other games is not as important to Honkai Star Rail because you are still having a lot of freedom when you play them in game. You can dodge, you can parry, you can Kara cancel, swap back, all that kind of stuff. But Honkai Star Rail is not, right? It's basically just to build a team, and that's like what determines if you clear the stage most of the time. It's the team building, and when you actually go into battle, most of the time the casual player base wouldn't even feel a difference between like the auto button or like actually them playing themselves. So I think the argument of like Jingyuan is now like support drag. For Honkai Star Rail, it doesn't really define that as power creep because I do feel that it's part of how Honkai Star Rail works. It is like Honkai support rail. You have a team and the supports are like fundamental for like all these like different teammates, not just Jingyuan. For any DPS, you would need a very, very strong support to make them pop off, right? And then
I will say I completely
point,
agree with you.
Oh,
I completely agree with you. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page here. I agree.
Okay. Yeah. Then I think for a Kafka point, which is like Kafka is like bad now because it makes you like you want to pull for like Eidolon, or you want to pull for a Light Cone, your Black Swan Light Cone, you want to pull for Jiao Qiu, but you don't even want that Jiao Qiu, but you really want to play with Kafka. So you feel that, oh shit, like they used to feel like so much better, but then nowadays, you know, because of all these power creep, all these new units, what you pulled last time don't feel as good as what they were last time. And if you want them to feel good again, or like you want to clear again, you want to pull for all these Eidolons and Light Cones, right? That was the
of course. Yeah.
Right. So, but okay, I think my point to that was, I thought about this like just now before I start stream, which is basically, I think a lot of players in Honkai Star Rail, they have this illusion of like what to expect from a new unit, because on release back then, a lot of these content that people would use the units they pull for would be majority of the time end-game content. Like I think we don't pull for Jingyuan or Kafka just to clear story, right? You probably use them for the end-game content like Mirror of Chaos. So I think a lot of players kind of forgot that back then, they felt really, really good, not just because, you know, it was the strongest of their time back then. There was no power creep. It was also because the environment they were in, it was tailor-made to them, like the different buffs as well as the different...
Okay, so let me go ahead and write down some of the stuff. Supports were always an integral part of HSR. My question is, what happened to the older supports? Why do I have to pull all of the new supports for my old characters to work? What's happening to my Asta? What's happening to my, what's it called? My Bronya. What's happening to Sparkle? We just not talking about that? What's happening to my Luocha? Well, he's working with Blade. Luocha's off with Blade.
Enemies with the right elemental weaknesses and DOT, they had all this. So it made them feel artificially inflated. And I think people might not even notice that they were artificially inflated because the moment it moves on to the next new unit, all these buffs go away. Now, not just the MOC buffs or like the different endgame buffs, but even the enemy units, they'll change, right? They will no longer be lightning weak. They will no longer be, get all the DOT buffs. They have different mechanics, and it makes it feel worse. But the thing is, this will always be the case because that's how Honkai Star Rail wants to sell these brand new units. And that's where I think is true definition, or like truly how Honkai Star Rail creates power creep. It's not like all these units are like dog shit now. It's just that they make this false expectation. Okay, you put for this DOT, which is supposed to be super good, but the moment they move to the next one, they make the next one feel even better and better. But all these time, these units that you put, they didn't get nerfed. It is still the same unit, and technically speaking, they can still clear all of the endgame content. It's just...
So the main argument is, as long as you can clear, it's okay. Don't worry about everyone else. Don't worry about everyone getting weaker. Okay, so we're back right at the start. We are literally just right back at the start, where Poke says power creep is not a problem to the player, not a problem as long as you can clear. And that was the whole Ellen Joe thing, right? The whole Ellen Joe situation we were talking about.
That's that you wouldn't get the same feeling that they felt back then because that was like a false feeling. So Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, so I do agree that the majority of characters can clear all the content depending on who you pair them up with. I do think that that is a skewed perspective. I don't think that's entirely true. I think you can make a single unit clear all of the content depending on who you pair them up with. However, I don't believe that an Arlon, Serval, Pela team can clear all the content.
Yep.
I do think you can make a single unit work by pairing them with 3 broken supports, but I don't think everything is balanced where 4-star survival. Also, that was a creepy as fuck image in the chat.
Oh shit.
So the other thing that I wanted to really tackle here is I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that you said that this is an issue that has to happen in Honkai Star Rail. That power creep must exist in Honkai Star Rail.
I think they will keep doing it. Yep. And for the record, it is like 100% predatory. This is on the company. This is not on the player. The way this is.
Okay, he said it. Woo! He said it. Power creep and how it works in HSR is predatory. All right, we got it. We got him, ladies and gentlemen.
All on the company. Yep, I agree.
Okay, now can I explain to you why it doesn't have to exist in Honkai Star Rail? This is going to be an interactive part, and I'm going to explain this to chat, and hopefully they can understand this. Now, this is, once again, I have worked with a video game company for nearly 2 years now. I understand quite a bit about game design. I also went to college and did about 2 years of
Okay, stop glazing, buddy.
video game theory and understanding why things work. Chat, do we know, because a lot of people think it's Acheron, do we know where power creep started to exist in Honkai Star Rail? Do we know what specific unit? And Mr. Booker, I'm curious, and I want to know if you agree. What character do you think signaled the beginning of the end for Honkai Star Rail?
Rame. Okay, I don't think it's the end, but like, I think Rame, it was the first unit that changed a lot.
Okay, so Mr. Booker says Ranmei. It's crazy how not a single person in chat is. Oh, there's one. One person found it. So the correct answer, guys, and I want to explain this, and hopefully you'll understand why I'm saying this after. The correct answer for who fucked up Honkai Star Rail is actually my least favorite character. A character that I swore I would never pull, and I never did. And that character is Silverwolf.
He was released in fucking 1.1. That character was released in fucking 1.1. Literally the first fucking patch of the game. I find it interesting that he's using the power creep argument. Like, she was literally the first banner of 1.1, guys. So was the game just completely fucked right off the bat? What the hell? First power creep character. Pokey, Ranmei, Tectone, Silverwolf. Let's see how this developed.
And the reason why Silverwolf completely obliterated the game is she made the turn-based RPG into the strategy RPG into just an RPG. Because there is this thing in every single game that is designed well called incomparables. Now, designers and developers at Riot Games understand incomparables very well. So here's how Honkai Star Rail used to exist, right? You needed to match the blue guy with the blue weakness, the red guy with the red weakness, the wind guy with the wind weakness. Okay. But now, weaknesses no longer work. And the reason why they no longer work is due to characters like Boothill or Silverwolf who just ignore them and they cheat the system. And the reason why that's so fucking bad is because now incomparables can borderline not exist in this game. To at least a severe as a degree as they once were. So the basis of Riot Games is like 140 characters that all do similar things, but they do them different. Similar damage numbers, but they do them different. Yep. Now, what's more, dealing 33 damage 3 times or dealing 99 damage? What's more, dealing 25 damage 4 times or dealing 100 damage? So what used to could have existed, which is the ice guy is going to hit this mob for 100 damage. Then you can have an electric guy who's going to hit this guy for 100 damage. You're going to have a fire guy who hits this guy for 100 damage, a wind guy that's for 100 damage, a imaginary guy for 100 damage. But now none of that exists. So the elemental system has now been completely broken. And now we can no longer have incomparables that would have been healthy for the game. Guys, I'm sure you would all agree that if we had the ability to use those systems that were put in place of Honkai Star Rail, which, did you enjoy those, Mr. Pokey, or did you not enjoy playing around Elemental Weakness?
Playing around? Yeah, I like the elemental system.
Yeah, I liked it too.
So think about it this way. Every character that doesn't have some sort of like penetration mechanic or weaknesses feels pretty shit to play, or the damage of their team that they're using is so obscene that it doesn't really matter. Oh, did I say a bad word? Oh, grow up. Grow up, chat. I just said the word penetration. All right, maybe I can't use that word anymore. So think about it this way. The reason why Wuthering Waves, in my opinion, feels great in a lot of encounters for a lot of different characters is that they don't have an elemental system. And honestly, I'll lump Genshin Impact in with this as well. They don't have an elemental or attribute system where one attribute does more damage to another. Genshin sort of has it. Sometimes, right? But Wuthering Waves doesn't have a system. It really only has a resistance system. And so you can't really use certain characters well against certain types of enemies. And honestly, what ends up happening is that you can end up with a character, right? Like Jian, for example, where he's only weak against one enemy in the game, the Wind Gorilla. And what that means is like, okay, well now, because of like the incomparables that Techi's talking about over here, Jian is now super usable in content that Camellia is not that good in. Camellia sucks against a lot of enemies that are Havoc resistant, like Crownless or the Impermanence Heron. Zhang Liao and Yinlin, they're weak against enemies that are electric resistant, right? You got fucking, what's their name? You got the Mech Abomination, the Thundering Mephis, and the Tempest Mephis. And Carlotta, well, fuck, she's just strong against everything right now because there's no ice monsters that ever appear in the TOA. And Jinsei gets boned by half of the bosses in TOA. Fallacy, Ikes, Scar, a lot. And what that means is that some characters are just naturally gonna be stronger in certain types of content, not even factor in like AoE and how that impacts the whole situation. And it makes other members of the roster have like these incomparable advantages compared to others. And guess what, guys? It's good. It keeps the game balanced. It makes a use case for every single character, regardless.
The game has now become incredibly harder to design. So we can no longer use the elemental system in order to differentiate characters from doing similar things. Mods, can we put it in emote only mode? Thank you. So we can no longer use those systems as elemental weaknesses because Silverwolf ruined the fucking game. So now we have an optional incomparable, which is dot, follow-up, true damage, summons, so on and so forth. Now, my question to you, Mr. Pokey, is why does follow-up attack have to be 3 times as strong as dot when you could let them do the same damage, but the way they deal that damage just be different?
Well, that's the thing, Tectone. The reason why follow-up attack needs to deal 3 times as much damage as dot is because follow-up attack, team, every character is a limited 5-star. Every character is a limited fucking 5-star. That's why. You need Topaz with her light cone. You need Aventurine with his light cone. You need Fei Xiao with her light cone. And you need Robin with her light cone. Yep.
Why does follow-up deal 3 times more damage than DOT?
Yes.
I think it's really because DOT themselves and archetype has not received like any updates for a while. So like all the new archetypes, it's not because of the archetype itself, but it's more like these units keeps getting the upgrade because it's like they're like the flavor of the month. So like we haven't gotten a DOT upgrade for like a long time. Maybe if you consider Robin upgraded with Black and Kafka, but like follow-up specifically dealing 3 times more damage to DOT, I think this point can also be a little bit debatable because if we because I played the latest MOC, right? The clear rate for follow-up right now is actually not too different from even the old DOT comps because the environment that is catered towards the end game is not as favorable towards follow-up damage, which is why I say that the power creep, this whole power creep thing, is not because of a unit or a archetype. It is mainly tied to the environment in which Hoyoverse they artificially boost to all these different team comps in order to sell this rate up units. So like right now, for example, like Savrock as well as a Wolf, if you were to use a follow-up team comp, which is like Fei Xiao, you have to one by one snipe the little trotters, which is gonna take more and it's gonna be more annoying compared to DOT, which technically is gonna be faster when it applies their AoE and their DOT. So because of that, I don't think that follow-up would deal 3 times the damage of DOT. So yeah, well, but I kind of want to go back to the elemental system itself, which is
so
the elemental system kind of. Sorry.
Would you not agree that like Super Break does like 10 times the damage of dot?
Yeah, but the thing is, all these things they always have a catch though. So for example, like if you were to use the super break, right?
This is the comparison that Pokey's making right now. Follow-up attack does 3x dots damage in pretty much normal scenarios. Pokey is defending this right now by saying the current MOC lineup where single target sucks balls makes it okay compared to dot, which is AoE. Why don't we think about it this way? Why is the AoE team dot that deals damage in an AoE? How is it even comparable to follow-up attack, which is entirely single, well, almost entirely single target? Isn't that almost like a moot point where your single target damage team is now dealing or basically in the same level of performance as a team that does damage in AoE? In an AoE focused MOC with the Trotters. And this is the only thing we're saying to defend this. It's like FUA with unfavorable blessing equals same performance as team with good blessing. Guys, this is where we're at this point. If anything, Poke is just proving the point even more by talking about the blessing here. Because this is content that follow-up attacks should suck balls in, but the character and comps are so fucking overtuned that they have the same level of performance as an AoE focused team. So if anything, it's literally worse. He actually made the point worse. Oh dear. That's a big miss.
They have all these elemental implants, but one thing is they don't implant resistances. So they don't reduce the resistance. So even if you have the ability to deal toughness bar damage, the enemy will still have resistance to that said element, which honestly most of the time when you want to use these like off elemental units, it's not as smooth as if compared to if you just use them on the right element. So I think the elemental system is not like completely out of the table, and that is only protecting super break. Most of these like other times, if you were in an off element situation, you would most likely be worse off than if you were on element, which is one of the also reason why Jingliu, she has not gotten a very good clear in like Memory of Chaos, not really because she got power crept by all these units, but it's because we haven't gotten an Ice Week stage for a very long time. And now that we got an Ice Week stage, she actually performed a lot better compared to previous times, which once again goes to show like the environment is like the main factor of power creep Honkai Star and not specifically tied to the units.
Yeah, but I think that's one and the same, right?
And so I guess now the example that he's bringing up is Jing Liu is now good because of ice weakness. It's environment versus characters. But this is the thing. If your Jing Liu was being used in the past without ice weakness and still doing like, I guess, okay. And now, unless there's fucking ice weakness, the character's fucking completely unusable. That is the power creep. While follow-up teams, right? Super break teams. Those teams can just not give a fuck about the weakness and clear anyways. That's the difference. And so now your new character that you pulled in Super Break, your new character that you pulled in follow-up is usable in all of the content in the game whenever they fucking want, because they deal so much damage that nobody else can keep up. And now your old character, Jing Liu or Blade, can only be used in specialized, tailored blessing content. That is the problem. And so now, like, basically, your character is now usable, like, 10% of the fucking time. Your follow-up and Super Break teams are usable 100% of the time, and people are pissed because of that. It's really that simple. I don't understand. It's like, you literally just said that, like, the power creep on, like, the power creep on the Super Break teams isn't that big of a deal because it doesn't transfer weakness, or it doesn't transfer resistance reduction. But it's like, you can still use it without the resistance reduction and they'll still clear. And you just use Jing Liu as an example where it's fine because she can be used right now when she wasn't usable for literally months. And you even talked about how the follow-up teams, again, they're in a lineup with a bad blessing and they're still clearing. That is the problem, because the power creep is so strong that the meta teams with no blessing are still able to clear, and then you're saying Jing Liu is fine because the blessing's good and so she can clear. It's just like completely opposite ends of the spectrum in performance, and that's where the power creep is coming from.
Because if you're playing a video game and they make every boss weak to this type of character, well, then it is one and the same. It doesn't really matter if the environment's the problem, not the characters. You still have to pull the characters to conquer the environment. Wouldn't you agree?
You will put a character to conquer the environment right now, But the thing is, the environment is gonna change, which is why I think most people they get this problem of they're chasing the shiniest things, and then they realize that they can't keep up because the environment will keep changing every single time they release a new thing. So sure, for this current point, the new unit now is gonna be super good against this boss for this period of time. But the moment they change it again, it's gonna go back. Like for example, if you want to talk about like Fei Xiao, when she released, she was like super strong. But it's not just because of the fact that Fei Xiao is very strong numbers, but it's also because the environment was made for Fei Xiao, and they changed it. They changed it for like to benefit Yun Li, and they changed it to benefit like Exo Toughness, and now they changed it to benefit like D Herta for Trotters. So they keep changing this environment. So even if a unit was strong now, it wouldn't last for a very long time unless the players
Absolutely.
do that. Yeah.
Yep, I 100% agree with you. That is how the game's designed. Now, I want to ask you, what impression do you think that leaves on players?
It will give them FOMO. It will give them a lot of FOMO because now players feel that their old units are like unusable. They're a lot worse because they had this false expectation that these old units, when they put them back then, it was supposed to be super strong. But they didn't factor in the environment changing so quickly. And then I was like, oh shit, it feels super bad. And then it creates more and more FOMO because all these new units, they always get paired up with the right elements, the right environment, and then it creates this cycle. So yeah.
Yeah, so it gives players FOMO, and it also probably doesn't feel too good as a player
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
just realize, oh, well, this new character I just pulled is garbage in 6 months, and I can pull the new character, but it's going to be garbage in 6 months, so why even end up pulling whatsoever? And that's probably going to lead to a lot of players quitting, don't you think?
I think this really depends on who really plays Honkai Star Rail because I feel like players that don't care about endgame, which is like majority of the Honkai Star
Agreed.
players, they have never seen endgame at all. They wouldn't even really care if the endgame changed by that much, or their players or their units that they put for didn't matter or like weren't as strong because they probably put for like casual reasons or like waifu reasons.
Okay.
So for these players, which is still the majority, I think they will still keep playing the game. I do believe that this group of people which you mentioned, which is every single time they pull for this new unit, they don't feel as strong anymore, and then they have to pull for another one to feel as strong again, they are gonna probably want to quit the game because they don't have the same feeling of strength they had last time compared to now. But the thing is, you don't need to feel that strong in order to technically beat the game. You technically beat the game by getting full 3 stars and you clear all the rewards. Sure, it sucks. It definitely sucks, and it's intended to feel like shit. It's definitely uncomfortable, but a player wouldn't need it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think a lot of people think that Honkai Star Rail is the be-all, end-all, is their memory of chaos. It's just not. The be-all, end-all for Honkai Star Rail is the story mode. And that's pretty much the majority of what people care about. We've seen that with raw statistical data.
Did you just say it sucks, but it's okay? It's intended to feel like shit, and it sucks, but it's okay? Why would you take the stance that, like, shitting on the chests of the most dedicated players in the player base, who put the most time into the game, who try to do as much content as possible in the game, them having a dog shit experience is just okay? Because it's intended to be that. I feel like he was on at least a little bit of crack when he was thinking of these arguments. At least like a little bit of crack, right? Like a small amount.
Showcasing many times that only 6 to 8% players have actually cleared MOC or even bothered to do it. So yeah, no, I 100% agree that if you're just you can pull whatever fucking character you want to beat the story. 100%. Absolutely. So I feel like the casuals can kind of be taken out of this conversation because, and I'm gonna say this, guys, if you are casual, you don't need to pull any of the premium banner units
Exactly.
on repeat. You don't have to keep up with who's meta this time, who's meta that time. Abso-fucking-lutely. But I do think this conversation was more so towards the hardcore players that do play this game, that do take the meta seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
1000%, yeah.
So for those players, obviously that's going to feel like shit. And just because they're not in the majority doesn't mean they deserve to be neglected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
this is the thing, right? What I find so funny is that you know that a majority of the player base is casual, right? And so putting in this much power creep and making power creep this big of an issue is something that you know is only going to affect a small portion of the player base. So why do it? It is literally just an attempt to extract as much value as possible out of the smallest portion of the player base. Oh, you need E2. Oh, you need E1. Oh, you need the signature to clear the content. But it's like you already know that's like a small portion of the fucking player base. And like, why do you feel the need to extract so much out of that small fucking portion? The most dedicated players with the most playtime. Holy shit. It is so disgustingly greedy. And like, I'm surprised they have not dug into that part yet. Maybe they're about to do that right now. It is actually fucking gross.
It does just kind of really put a bad taste in your mouth that these characters that I want to use, I cannot use them, or at least use them to the degree of which I want to, because whether people want to talk about it or not, and I think it's pretty obvious, this is completely by design. The old toys are meant to feel like the old toys because they want any incentive.
This is the greediest company
to
in
pull
gacha
for the new
gaming.
toys, and I feel like you understand that 100%.
Hey, this is the thing, guys. They don't have exploration, right? They don't have exploration in Honkai Star Rail that they can abuse, right? And put on banners like they did with Natlan. And so this is what they're doing in HSR instead. They are fucking power creeping the shit out of every new fucking release because they can't find a way to put predatory shit on the banner otherwise. Hey. In Genshin, they found out we'll just make Natlan feel like the worst shit ever if you don't pull the limited characters. In Honkai, they're just like, all right, we'll make the MOC feel like dog shit to play if you don't pull the new. You'll make all the endgame modes, all three of them. We're gonna add, they're probably gonna add a fourth and fifth one in 3.0. Just more opportunities to make the player feel like shit if they don't pull the banner.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
It's by design.
Now, I don't think that it's impossible, because all they would have to do is make each archetype have a purpose for whatever environment it's placed in. Like, so for example, the Dot team, every issue with Honkai Star Rail right now, and I would love to know if you disagree, is we released these new characters, we made them really strong, we gave them a huge buff, and we made everything have 15 million HP. Have you seen the graph of the first MOC to the current MOC?
That's a
Yeah,
nice
I
graph.
made a lot of videos about it, the XL and everything, yeah.
Yeah, like the first MOC was like, I think 2.5, 3 million HP, and now current MOC is 15 to 16 million.
Okay, no. Okay, the first video was like a few 100,000. Nowadays, it's like 5 million-ish. But yeah, I get there's a lot of HP inflation.
Okay, yeah. So I would say a factor that we can agree on is that the difference between the first MOC and the current MOC is about a difference of 15x.
Yep, sure.
Great. I mean, you were implying a 50x, which is fucking insane to me. I didn't see that, but I'm going to take your word for it. Maybe it was a 50x, not a 15. Then it's a lot worse than I thought, unfortunately.
Right.
But I really think that HSR is doing lazy combat development by saying, make characters have more HP and then make whatever preferred archetype do 1 billion more damage during this fight, rather than implement.
Does anyone actually know how Super Break's damage is calculated? Like, can you give me a one, like, is there like a 2-sentence description that we can do to calculate Super Break's damage? Okay, sure, AJ. You have 2 sentences to describe Super Break's damage. You have 2 sentences to provide Super Break's damage. You want to know what was great about Honkai Star Rail before? When the damage was basically attack value times damage multiplier times buffs minus or multiplied by resistance. Man, I was able to say that in like 1 sentence. Okay, wait, let me see here. Let's see what Super Break's damage calculation is. Oh, okay. All right, sounds good to me. And it's just like, I don't understand. I think Super Break has to be the dumb. Super Break and Break Effect have to be the dumbest shit they've ever added to the fucking game. Genuinely. Actually stupid. Actually dumb. Because you don't actually know how you're dealing damage. You have no clue how you're dealing the fucking damage. You're just like, okay, my Break Effect went higher, and now my damage went higher. Nice. And you're just like, okay, but by how much? What is 5% extra break effect gonna do for my damage? What's 5% extra break effect gonna do for my fucking damage? You don't know. And it's just like, what? It's just such a dumb thing. It's just such a dumb thing to like ever put into the game that's like turn-based strategy. And it's like, there's no additional depth in the fucking game other than like the calculations that you're doing, because you have 3 buttons that you can press. You have 3 buttons you can press on every fucking character: basic, skill, and ultimate. And then you manage to just obfuscate one of the damage calculations in the game where You just don't fucking know what is going on and how you're dealing damage. And they thought that was good to add. Oh my fucking god, what is this? Oh, here's a more official one from the wiki. That's the most diseased shit I've ever seen. That's actually the most diseased thing I've ever seen. That has to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my fucking life. I'm gonna be honest. That is just stupid. We've got an HSR Defender in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. It's basic arithmetic. Oh, sorry. So I'm supposed to see my 147% break effect, and it's just basic arithmetic to find out what the actual damage is. After seeing my 147% break effect, I should just know what the damage of my super break should be. We're trying this hard to defend the game. Super break is the dumbest shit they've ever added. Change my mind. I'll be like Mr. Pokey. Explain to me why super break is good for the game. Super break is bad for the game. Change my mind.
Implementing mechanics like, okay, this character takes more damage on its turn, which would help dot and follow-up attack. Or this character, obviously it's pretty hard to balance around super break, but you know what I'm saying, where it's like dot and follow-up will have more natural advantages towards units that were designed to be weak to them, kind of like how Pokemon has this fire Pokemon is weak to water, so if you use water it is 1.5x.
Yeah, simple.
But getting to a situation to where it's now a factor of 15x or 50x to feel like the norm, because that's how it is for most games. You hit a grass type Pokemon to a grass type Pokemon, you're dealing 1x damage. You hit a fire on a grass, now you're dealing 2x. You hit fire on a flying grass Pokemon, now you're dealing 4x. I don't think there's any game in history that said you use proper attacking and now you get 50x the damage.
Where is the 50x coming from here?
Any game in history that said you use proper attacking and now you get 50x the damage.
Keyword, ladies and gentlemen here, keyword is turn-based game. Keyword is a turn-based game. This isn't the same as like other games.
I just don't think that needs to exist.
Okay. Okay, I think first of all, I think we need to kind of establish that it's not something like this. The way HP inflation works is also because, yes, absolutely, they want to make all these units stronger. They want to make all these bosses stronger. And another factor to kind of consider is, on top of the HP inflation, they also introduce all these like Memory of Chaos buffs. And these buffs, they also get a lot stronger with the HP inflation, which is one of the ways to kind of combat the HP inflation being that bad for players who are concerned with endgame and they can't clear them with the rate up unit, because a lot of these buffs, they deal a significant chunk of damage. So even if you're using like these kind of old units, sure, you can't clear them in like maybe like 0 or 1 cycles, but if you were to go ahead and try that like 4 or 5, it is a lot more doable than even if you want to compare it to the start. So for example, the clear rate for like Memory of Chaos at the start of the game, it was like very, very low. Like even like 1.1 or 2, it actually gets higher and higher over time. I think one is because people just haven't built the units yet. Absolutely. And then 2 is also because, yeah, they introduced a lot of these, like namely supports. Supports make the game a lot stronger, which is why I feel that personally, Rame was the one that tipped the power balance, because it is basically Honkai support rail. She amplified everyone by so much. And the same for Robin, same for Sunday, Sparkle a little bit, and etc. etc.
Sparkle a little bit. Pokey, why are we not talking about Sunday and Sparkle? Why do we never talk about those two characters in the same sentence? Do we just not want to talk about those characters together? Has he ever talked about Sunday and Sparkle in the same discussion? Not a single time, right? He hasn't talked about Sunday and Sparkle a single time, right? If he doesn't talk about Sunday and Sparkle a single time, I don't think you can take anything he's saying seriously, because not talking about it makes his entire argument disingenuous completely.
So because of this, HP inflation is definitely a thing, but if you were to make use of the Memory of Chaos buffs, it is not a point where...
That's a wild take. Why is it wild? Why is it wild? What makes that wild? What makes that a wild take? I know you're a Giga Pokey Glazer. What makes that a wild take? Do we need to defend Pokey? When he's offline too. Everything he says has no truth because of that one thing. Is that what I said? I said his entire argument is disingenuous because he's literally not talking about the biggest elephant in the room. And the fact that he's never intentionally brought it up himself in the discussion makes it seem like he's dodging literally the biggest problem when it comes to power creep. And so that's why I said his entire argument is disingenuous if he never references Sunday and Sparkle together. Because like if it is Honkai support rail as he's saying, why is it that the support, which is supposed to be the safest character, is immediately getting power corrupt? And he's just like dodging the discussion completely all the time. Proof? Proof?
There are players who only put for all units would suffer to the point where they can't even clear the game anymore. Especially, we're not talking about casuals, we're talking about people who actually want to clear the game. But of course, if you pull a new unit on release, what they do is they can make use of these buffs like even better. So it's not really like they deal like 10 times or 50 times more damage, but they just deal like, they synergize the buffs a lot more, as well as the right enemy weaknesses. So they end up feeling better, despite the fact that it's not really a like 50x or 15x compared to the old units. It's more like just because they are more suitable to the environment, which they are still at the end of the day artificially inflating, you know, creating FOMO to appeal the new units more than old units.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Once again, totally agree with you. Play to the buffs, you'll win the game, right?
Mhm.
Easy. What I want to know is long term, what do you think that leads the player base towards? Do you think it's positive or negative having to play around the buffs rather than play around your characters?
Ooh, this is quite interesting because it has always been the buffs, because the buffs matter a lot in the end game. And if the players that only want to play around their characters most of the time, and they don't want to use the buff, they are probably like super elites. Like they want to do 0 cycles, because 0 cycles most of the time they can't even make use of the buffs. So I feel that for these players, they will feel worse because now they put these characters, it is a lot more difficult to not use the buffs and do 0 cycles. So they'll 100% feel worse, and they would be feeling more pressure to pull the latest unit to achieve these kind of like 0 cycles and just ignore the buffs. But the flip side is,
once again,
right,
interject real quick. I will say I feel no sympathy for anybody who says boo hoo wah I can't 0 cycle. I don't I don't care. You know, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there. Go ahead.
Nah, so I think the flip side is because they also want to introduce, on top of these different buffs, new enemy units as well. So I think, for example, you mentioned like if only
Okay, guys, I've never seen a guy play defense this hard for a company when they're actually making very bad decisions. At least in terms to like what it leads to for the player base. This is actually a little bit nuts. Why are we talking so much about how like the buffs are like the buffs dictating whether or not you can clear is like good? Like, why are we talking about it so much? How the buffs dictating whether or not you can clear is good. This would be like let me just pull up a Woo-Wah example. Let me just pull up a Woo-Wah example right now in the TOA. I feel like what Pokey's saying is like good is like, or like trying to justify or saying it's just a blessing thing, guys. It's just a blessing thing. It's like basically, imagine if the TOA, right? Imagine if the TOA in this stage, it said hitting a target with coordinated attacks increases all team members' attack. Instead of 2% over here, it says 20%. And instead of 4, it says 40%. And it still stacks up to 10 times. And Crownless now has quadruple the 8 or 10 times the HP. And then saying it's good because, well, just play around the blessing, bro. Hey, you're playing a team without coordinated attacks? Hey, pull smarter, bro. Just pull smarter, bro. Yo, use somebody with coordinated attacks. Yeah, if you don't use them, you deserve not to clear, bro. Just play and build smarter, bro. Just pull Jeja, bro. You shouldn't. It's like in this tower. When Resonators heal team members, their crit damage is increased by 900%. And then all the HP over here gets inflated as well by 900%. And it's like, whoa, just play around the blessing, bro. Yo, why don't you have a healer on your team, bro? Well, why are you playing a shielder? Play a healer, bro. Pull better, bro. I don't get why we would like want to have an environment that literally makes characters unplayable, that people have spent money on, that literally makes them unplayable, right? And then we just say, well, it's by design, so it's good. I don't get it. I literally don't get it.
enemy could, you know, receive more damage during their turn, then that will make duty stronger, right? I think they could definitely make more, but they have released new enemy variants every single major patch as of now. We have Fule, we have the Puppet Trio, and all these different like new bosses, like boss units. They do tend to favor a single archetype more than others. So for example, Fule was better with follow-up because the more you hit him, you can use the stacks. Then the trio, it was like very good for like AoE and super rate because like they have a shared health pool. Same for the TV boss. And then in version 3, they're also probably releasing new bosses. So I also don't think it's as rigid as it seems.
Which one was good?
They are introducing new enemies. Yeah.
Which one was good for Dot?
Okay, so again, we mentioned Hule and the trio, who basically fuck you real hard if you don't pull the on-banner character that they were released with. That's good, guys. That would be like the fucking devs for Wuwa releasing an enemy that only is vulnerable to like resonant skill damage or something like that, or like needs to be hit by like 20 coordinated attacks or else they're invulnerable. And then being like, well, that's good. They're making specific enemies for specific archetypes or types of characters. That's good. It's shit. It's literally shit.
DOT, honestly, they just need a new unit at this point because they are basically like a old car that hasn't got an upgrade for a super long time. At this point, DOT definitely needs a better support in order to make them feel as good again. Or you pull the islands. So DOT just neglected. So yeah.
Now the problem is, and this is my big issue with power creep. I'm a guy who plays the characters that I like. I skipped Zhao Cho because the guy looks stupid as fuck. Oh, he kills people by using soup. He's a healer who can't heal. Like, when I heard of Zhao Cho, he was originally sold to me back in 1.0, by the way, as Pela alt with a heal. That's what I was told he was. That is not what he came out to be. Now, my problem is now I really want to play Dot. What's going to happen if when that Dot enabler comes out and they look stupid as shit again? Because I agree, my Dot could work with Acheron if I pulled Zhao Cho. I'm just not going to pull Zhao Cho. But now we're at a point where Dot is so fucking weak, I might end up having to pull some retard to make the characters that I like work.
Yep. Okay, I 100%. Okay, wait. First of all, I remember this memory zone meme, like the guy that killed Firefly. He was pretty good with Dot because the little prison's interested in Dot. Okay, but anyways, this argument, I feel like you probably wouldn't face it as commonly. I don't think it's everyone, but I don't think it's as common for the hardcore players that cares about like this kind of endgame, because they would just pull for meta units that make their team stronger. Yeah, sure, the guy is probably gonna look like shit, but if we're talking about the hardcore players that care about endgame, they would just don't give a shit and they just pull anyways. Because
why is Techie just not digging into him for this? The discussion wasn't about the meta strength or the synergy with the teams. It was about the character is good. What if the character looks stupid and I don't want to pull them because their design is ass cheeks? And he's not answering the fucking question. Tectone asked, what happens if it's a meta pick that's perfect for enabling the team and they look like dog shit? And he's not answering the fucking question at all. He's just re-explaining the question.
That would be the priority. But yeah, you're definitely valid though, if you want to feel your own way.
You're valid. What the fuck was that? Techie, he's literally pulling an EO tweet live on this call. He's literally verbalizing an EO tweet on the fucking call. And we've seen how you reacted to EO's tweets. Bro is leaking glue all over the place. Fucking Pokey is just like spilling glue everywhere. The floor is sticky.
I feel like the majority, maybe I'm wrong here. I think, I would love to know your opinion. I do think the majority of players are, I'm going to pull the characters that I like, and if I don't like them, I'm not going to pull them.
Sure, but if they were in this camp, most of them also wouldn't care about endgame. And then the power creep issue wouldn't affect them.
Sure, but I think there are some people who think,
Now we're just talking about hypothetical situations where power creep doesn't matter, bringing casuals into the equation. What's the fucking point? That's not what the discussion was ever about. The tweet was about it being a player problem for power creep. And so like casuals don't even apply in any way. Why are we even talking about casuals?
Definitely something there, but the majority wouldn't.
By the way, is Tribby the Dot enabler?
I have no idea what she does.
I hope to God she's not, because I am not pulling that retard looking character. Absolutely not. I am hoping to God she is dog shit. I am horrified with that stupid. I'm not using babies on my team. All right, I'm just not
Bro,
fucking
you
doing that.
use Verena, right?
Who's Verena? Oh, her?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but she makes the game so nice, and I got it for free though. I didn't have to pull her.
Okay, then what if this new dot makes the game so nice? You know?
Right. So here's the thing. I didn't have to pull for Verena. Right.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
I just got it for free. So I'm like,
Okay,
oh,
cool.
okay, she's a standard unit. I might as well. Yeah, but there was like, oh, Verena banner? I'm pulling on that. I would have never. But I was like, oh, I just get a free Verena? Okay, I'll use it, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I'm good. Now, if a dumb baby came onto my account and made dot work that I got for free, sure, I'll use it. But I ain't gonna pull for it. Absolutely not. Too much dignity, man.
It's valid.
Yeah. All right. Do you think that the current trajectory of Honkai Star Rail is a good one or a bad one?
Ooh, what's the answer here,
I
buddy?
honestly think it's pretty good.
You remember when everybody called me a Kurobot, talking about how I can never talk badly about a game, or how I could never talk badly about Wuthering Waves? Is this another poke chatter that wants to be banned? Wait, why can't I see more of your logs? Actually, I want to pull up your logs. Your thing got like cleared. Let me actually just pull it up. Let's see here. Let's do a bit of a review. We're running this much defense already. You can still use her. Happen to many gotchas will happen to Wuwa, bro. It's gotcha. Hope it helps. Proof, it's gotcha. My Gian is getting power crept in 4 months. Do you even play games outside of Wuwa? Gotcha games have power creep because they want to sell characters. And we just talked about in Wuwa in every single way how characters have literally only gotten stronger since release, and you don't have to pay for those upgrades. It's not here yet. Okay, 7 months, and the only power creep we've had has made every DPS in the game stronger. You do realize that the only power creep Wuwa has had has literally been reverse power creep, and all you can talk about is how power creep just isn't in Wuwa yet. How brain damaged are you? Genuinely. To see Nightmare Echoes, see that it has literally only elevated the strength of the entire roster, and then say that power creep is still going to come. When quite literally, the power creep that they put in the game made the older character stronger. And so, you're somebody who is seeing HSR turn into a pile of dog shit due to power creep, and now you are theory crafting problems that don't exist in other games to make yourself feel better about how shitty HSR is right now. You are literally theory crafting problems that don't exist, that are currently not in the game, that have actually only been reversed as the game has gone to 2.0. You are literally imagining things, imagining potential problems that aren't in the game to justify how HSR is actually okay with what they're doing right now with the power creep. How about this? How about this, buddy? How about we take your theory crafting, and you can take your theory crafting about issues that are imaginary that literally don't exist, and you do that in somebody else's chat. Why don't we do that? Because you are actually literally just trying to manufacture problems that don't exist. Who would like you in their chat? The problems aren't there, but all you do is keep theorizing. Oh, but it might happen. Go be a Debbie Downer literally anywhere else. Fucking weirdo. Actual weirdo. Like, it's not in the game. The game has literally done the opposite of putting power creep in, but you're like, oh, but they might. I don't know how dented you have to be. It's actually dented. And now, honestly, I see the reason why Pokey made this answer. I see why. Because he has to have, quite honestly, the stupidest chat in gacha gaming. If this is what they're saying. Problems aren't there, but they might happen. What? You literally imagine problems that aren't in the fucking game, and then use that as a detractor and say that it's bad. What the fuck? Why don't you use critiques or problems that actually exist instead of ones that don't exist? Holy shit. I'm actually mind blown. I'm actually mind blown. All right, what else do we have here? I know there's another premiere. There's another 5-star Poke Chatter in here. I saw them. There's another 5-star Poke Chatter. It will come to all gacha eventually. Wuwa is no exception. It's gacha. Blanket statements like that aren't, but you're literally saying the exact same thing. How is it a blanket statement when you are a Poke Chatter? I've confirmed it. And you literally just said the exact same thing. You're literally theory crafting imaginary problems that don't exist and using it to detract from a game. You are literally making up problems about the game and then saying, Well, it's gonna happen. How are you not able to talk about what's actually in the game? So because it's gacha, it has to be in the game, when literally every example of power creep that's in Wuwa has only made the older characters stronger. And so Wuwa is quite literally one of the only games that has straight up just made the older characters stronger at no cost to the players. Oh, so it does it better. Guess what? You want to know what you have to do in HSR, guys, to buff one of your older characters? You got to grind 6 new pieces. 6 new pieces. And spend resin or energy doing it. 6 new pieces. You want to know what you have to do in Wuwa to buff an old character? You grind 1 piece. 1 fucking piece. And your old character is stronger. 1 piece. People argue, without power creep and adjusting gimmicks, the game would literally play out the same and you'd always use the same teams. Well, that's a fucking turn-based game. That's just how it fucking works. And instead, you could just make a system where the characters deal damage differently. Not a system where every new character deals way more fucking damage than the previous one. Woo! Wow, amazing. Oh, I love these devs. Oh, we need to keep defending them. Oh, please milk me for all I'm fucking worth. Please, just do it. That's what fucking HSR players sound like. That's what fucking HSR players are. Jesus Christ. Grow a fucking spine. Literally grow a fucking spine. You guys are actually pathetic if you're defending this shit and saying it's good. Poke right now, I'll just say it. Poke is being pathetic to say that the direction of HSR is good. Holy fuck. That's actually unbelievable. It's genuinely unbelievable. Holy shit. You keep spamming the phrase, it's gacha, and using that as a justification to imagine problems that don't exist. Guess what? You know what else does? You want to know a problem that does exist that I'll talk about? HSR having a 75-25 on the weapon banner. That's a problem that exists. That's a real problem that exists. Oh, but guess what? It's not in Wuthering Waves. But it's gacha. But it's gacha. Oh, but it's gacha. So that's already one example right off the top of my fucking head where Wuwa is a gacha game, but it literally does something better than the Hoyoverse games. True? Is that true? And so suddenly, you already have one factual example of Wuwa doing something objectively way better than Hoyo games. But now, that can't happen for power creep. And suddenly that can't happen for power creep. It's just outside of the realm of possibility. Oh, the sequence node's in the shop too. So getting S2 for a character, you literally don't even have to pull for it. Oh, but it's gacha. Wuwa's gonna remove it from the shop. It's gacha. You know what? Bro got caught. He's done. He's done, ladies and gentlemen. He's done. He's done arguing. Oh. Are we done writing fan fiction about Wuthering Waves? Are we done theory crafting imaginary problems that don't actually exist? Are we done just making shit up for fun? Or are we gonna keep doing it and just say, oh, I'm theory crafting imaginary problems, but it's fine because it's gacha. Oh, bro didn't expect this when he was running defense. I don't think he did. I was not attack Wuwa. Okay, now you're just lying. Peace out. Peace out, bro. Fucking slimy little weasels. So many slimy little weasels. Just literally spread rumors about things that don't exist in the game as a way to detract from the game. Like, it's not even there. I don't get it. It's literally not there. And all evidence is actually pointing to the opposite. All of the evidence is pointing to the direct 180 complete opposite. But we're still talking about how it's going to be a problem. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it.
Okay.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he just talks about Pokey is back and he's talking about how much he likes the current path of HSR.
All right. Hey, that's that.
Should I explain?
You don't have to if you don't want.
Tectone is literally he's literally stunned. He actually got CC'd in real life hearing that answer. Poke in his head just lost like 500 aura right after he made that statement. Poke just lost 500 aura in Tectone's head. Minus 500. 1000%.
I'm just wondering. I mean, to be honest,
I think it's okay. I'll just explain it, right? I think it's pretty good because even though they make like all these like HP invasion power creep, there hasn't reached the point where your older stuff is like completely forgotten. And if you are new,
who the fuck still uses Branya? Who the fuck still uses Asta? Who still uses Sela? What?
New players starting in Honkai Star at any point,
who uses Blade?
You will always get this huge like boost of power when you pull on that new unit. So if I were to, let's just say for example, if I were to start Honkai Star Rail right now, and I put on D Herta, I'll have a pretty enjoyable playing experience.
What does that have to do with how the game is going on a good path? Talking about starting up the game and installing it right now?
I'm not even gonna use my account as an example because technically it's just unreadable, it's a whale account. So if I were to start if I'm a new player, I start right now, I get D Herta. I feel like I'll have a lot of fun playing with D Herta. And looking back, you wouldn't need to think about all those old banners. So you would just keep looking forward. And from the way it's balanced.
Did he literally just say, I don't have to look back at all the old shitty characters, and so it's fine? Was the argument literally, the game is good because I can start it now, and I don't have to worry about all that old trash. I don't have to worry about all that old trash from way back then. Put all that garbage behind me. What the fuck?
So far, I don't think there has been that big of an issue. And I'm talking about if the player cares about like meta, he's not just a casual, he's not just a proof of wife. If I want to try to optimize my team, I think the way Honkai Star Rail is doing right now is completely fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Honkai Star will be fine. I mean,
was the take literally the game is on a good path because you can just make a new account and forget all the past shitty banners and just pull really strong characters? Is there any reason to watch more of this? Guys, is there any reason to watch more of this? Because what I'm seeing right now is like Pokey just saying the worst reasonings in gacha gaming for defending Honkai Star Rail, and then Techie is not doing anything about it. Techie's just listening to like literally the worst points I've ever heard. Like actually the worst points I've ever heard to like justify whatever's going on, and then Techie's just not calling him out for anything. That's what the last like 10 minutes have been. And so, should I even, like, keep watching? Bro is being so incredibly absurdly soft on him right now. It's ridiculous. Like, I can't believe Pokey just said the game is on a good path because I can start a new account and then ignore all the shitty old banners and just pull new strong characters. I actually cannot believe that he said that and nobody said anything. Tecto didn't say anything about it. I'm actually at a loss for words. I'm fucking mind blown. Genuinely. Like, there's just so much stuff in here where it just... Like, there's so many bad points, bad arguments being made. Like, we try to justify follow-up attack still working and doing the same damage as an AoE team in an AoE-focused blessing. And then we counterbalance that by saying Jing Liu is fine because she only works literally once in a blue moon when the blessing and weakness line up for her. And we're saying both sides of the equation are okay. When follow-up works, regardless of whatever the fuck is going on, and Jing Liu works once every 2 months. And that's okay. He's literally comparing the two and saying that they're equal. And nobody's diving into it and trying to break it down or explain it. Or dig deeper. Oh, man. I don't know, guys. I think that I'll see if Tectone bites down on this. Otherwise, I don't think I'm going to keep watching.
I mean, obviously, I'm worried about the future, but right now, we're kind of dealing in what-ifs, right? And that's kind of the whole... That's kind of the whole... And I don't like arguing what-ifs. What if this? What if that? What if Dewey gets hit by a meteor? What if Dewey gets stepped on by a dinosaur? Which is weird because that actually happened in the live stream.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? We can only see what's in front of us. And let's for example, like the 8 banner system. It could be good. It could be bad, but we're gonna have to see how it goes.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're pretty much on the same page here, Mr. Pokey.
Okay. All right. I think I'm gonna stop watching this, guys, because I think bro is being let off the hook after he's quite literally like trimming and like fucking placing himself on the fucking sacrifice altar. Like that's what Pokey is doing. He's literally like opening up like just everything, and he's like ready to be sacrificed. And then Tectone's like, nah, I'm good. He's literally like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm not gonna take this free layup. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't want to watch the rest of this. Honestly, it's getting painful. I understand that Techie is like Mr. Pokey's good friend, but bro has been waffling harder than fucking Eggo factories. He has been waffling harder than a fucking Eggo factory at this point. It's ridiculous. He's genuinely just saying the worst reasoning in gacha gaming for defending Honkai Star Rail, and it's just, there's nothing happening. There's literally nothing happening. Holy shit, Saint. You listen to Pokey with your fucking ass and not understanding what he is actually saying. You are so disingenuous. Peace. Same, bro. Thanks for the sub, though. Dumbass. Probably gifted? Well, thanks then, Afto. I don't feel as bad if his was gifted. Don't feel as bad now that his was gifted. Actually, no, I feel worse. Let's just finish it. Fine.
I'll be real, I really do. I mean, you know, obviously we had that disagreement. I think we came to a mutual understanding.
I'm gonna 2x it then. Or I'm gonna like 1 point.
It's an issue created by the company that can be circumvented by the players. That's pretty much the only difference that we got to a mutual agreement on, which I think is great. Other than that, I mean, I think that we're fine. I don't really got anything else that I need to talk about. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I think I'm fine. But okay, I just want to ask one thing. My point was this was a problem for the greedy and stupid players.
Absolutely, yep.
Do you think there are more players that would have this problem aside from greedy and stupid players?
Well, no.
Hey, guys. Me being upset that my E0 Jing Liu only works once every 6 months, that makes me greedy and stupid.
Because gacha games are meant to invite greedy and stupid players. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, then that's great.
Yeah,
even though it's just these two, but it's like a huge camp of people, and a lot of them are just pressed because it's like me calling out a gambler with a gambling problem, and they're angry. That's what I feel. Like, they want me to call out the house, they want me to call the casino. It's bad, but they don't want to acknowledge they have a gambling problem.
You literally just talked about how follow-up teams work regardless, and Super Break works regardless of the side or like the blessings, and then you say it's okay because it's comparable to Dot Now, an AoE team that barely clears on the AoE blessing? Oh, fuck.
That is what I feel is going on so far.
Yeah, well, I think, like, don't go to Vegas if you don't want to gamble. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
exactly.
I mean, those people who read it that way are silly. But I feel like, for me, the only issue that I had was it sounded like you were blaming the players when it is an issue created by the company. That's the only thing that I had an issue with. I will never even remotely want anyone to think that I'm defending a fucking gacha company on their business practices.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And
yeah.
this is across the board. Like, Wuwa, ZZZ, HSR, Genshin. I'm never going to defend a single one of these fucking companies for their malpractices. And yeah, I think they just do bullshit. But yeah, guys, what do you think? I mean, I feel like me and Mr. Poke had a great, very productive conversation. Anything y'all...
Techie, I'm going to be honest. Somebody here got dog walked. And I think it was you. I don't even think Pokey dog walked you. I think you walked yourself. I'm going to be honest. This was a huge L. Genuinely. Like, you not going in on Pokey's point of the game going in a good direction? What the fuck, man? What the fuck, man?
Agree or disagree with?
I'll see 20 death threats on the Tectone's Legions later.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll probably see about that.
We'll see.
Great debate. Yeah, I think it was a great discussion. I feel like we got further towards the truth. We found out what is possible, what's not possible. And we all agree that Silver Wolf is the beginning and the end, and she's the worst character in the fucking game. I feel like it was great.
It's great, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Enjoy the rest of your stream, bro. I'll
Look,
go back.
Hold on, let me just double check. I want to make sure that chat make sure they don't have anything else they want to say. It's not the player's fault with the company. It is the company's fault. However, the player has the power to circumvent that issue, which once again could lead to long-term dissatisfaction. However, we can't speak in absolute, so what's the point? Right? Yeah, there's a smack clip that chat wants me to react to. I'm going to send it to you right now, Mr. Pokey. Do you think Pokey's tweet did justice to his point? It's literally just like, if he changed the wording slightly, it would have been fine. There was a slight miswording. It is what it is. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1, here we go.
I hereby confess. First of all, I stand corrected. I didn't know this. Secondly, that's insane, man. I mean, to be honest with you, that's insane. Gamers, this changes everything. Well, then I can't even give him the benefit of the doubt of like him misspeaking, because my rebuttal earlier is maybe Pokey doesn't know because English isn't his first language, but he actually does know. It actually is his first language. So that's crazy.
I'm not sure if this is what he's saying, but he's putting this. There's no power creep on top of my face.
That was my editor, by the way.
Then we also have another creator.
Hold on.
He's putting this. There's no power creep on top of my face.
There's no power creep. Tech don't put this. Okay.
No, that was my editor.
We also have another creator like VSV Viction. Honkai Star Rail has no power creep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Anyways, W editors, good shit.
Okay, that's it. Okay, yeah, W editors. Yeah, W editors.
Yeah. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, cool. Bro, I think we had a great talk, man. I'll drop by. Have fun.
I would think it was a great talk too if I got away with basically the equivalent of fucking content creator terrorism like Pokey just did on this fucking call. That's what this fucking entire call was.
But for the rest, man.
I think the problem is, Mr. Pokey, is that too many people were fixated on getting a win or getting a loss, when in reality, in terms of these discussions, when two logical beings approach each other, the only objective should be getting closer towards the truth. And
Yeah. Okay, but the thing is, majority of the community wouldn't feel that. A lot of people want to just see who win, who lose. Yours, mine, like everybody just want to say like, it's their streamer, it's their they
You want to know who lost after this call? Everybody who watched it. Everybody who watched it, including me. We are the ones who lost after this call.
have to win. So like, it's just it is what it is. That's why I'm like, this whole thing, it really was not intended to start war. It was just, I feel like it's a pretty interesting topic for conversation.
Calling the players stupid and greedy because a company put in massive amounts of power creep into their game was not intended to start war. Okay, now we're just lying.
And discussion in the community. But like, because majority of like chatters, they're like, ah, fuck this guy, I'm kill him. So like, it's just, you just can't get anywhere. Bro.
Okay, well, hold up. Let's talk about that. Okay, now hold up.
Sure.
Hold up. What do you mean none of this was to start war, Mr. Pokey? What do you mean about that?
Okay, I do feel that I just want to talk about this conversation and just see what the differences in opinions. If I wanted to start war, okay, in my opinion, a war, if I want to start war, would be to personally attack something. I think that is starting war.
Okay.
Would you agree? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did personally attack people, though.
I didn't personally attack a single individual.
Well, yeah, but you personally attacked a conglomerate of people. You called them greedy and stupid.
Okay, I stand corrected. You know what? My bad. I personally attacked those people that were, you know, stupid and greedy, and now they're offended. You know what? I take it. Yep, I started a war with these people.
Okay, I was about to say.
All right, Techie, you get 1 point. If this was basketball, your score line is now 1 for about 10. You made 1 shot out of 10 attempts. You basically, you avoided the double single. Good job.
Hey,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, I did.
And I feel like
group of people, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like with that,
I wanted to have a conversation about it. But yep, you're right. I drew first blood. Yeah.
Right. And to be fair, I loved it. Right. That's what I do every day I go live. I say, oh, these Genshin players are fucking retarded. Right. I mean, I don't care. But I mean, I know that I'm starting war when I say that. And you started the war. You're like, hey, man, this company, hey, they can fuck you off if they want. You're stupid and greedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. I mean, I mean, you can't get canceled over it. It's funny as fuck. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you acknowledge that you started the war. Great. Now with that, I feel like everything is settled.
All right, that's great, man. Yeah, thank you so much for the call.
Absolutely, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Peace. And you see that, boys? In one simple conversation, it's that easy.
I don't think it was that easy. Tectone, I don't think this was I have no idea what you were trying to accomplish with this call. I'm going to be honest. I think that this was potentially, it's only January 10th, but this seems like the biggest fumble of 2025 right off the bat. Becky, you have 1 timestamp here. You linked 1 timestamp. Smack was telling old Baldy not to be so soft on Pokey, and lo and behold, yep, this was the softest performance I've ever seen. Techie, you need to get you need to take some Viagra next time you talk to Pokey, or something like that, bro, because you were soft as shit. And it was ridiculous. Looks like Tectone is way too lenient on Pokey, especially when he brings up the tweet. Feels like he's trying to paint him in the best light possible and Pokey takes 0 accountability. I bet Pokey will do the same thing again and again, play the victim, blame the others, and nothing will change. He's coming from a biased and privileged position. We need Smack, Pokey, and others on the next Gacha cast with complete attendance. It's crazy Pokey still won't admit that his tweet is worded in a way that it seems like power creep will only exist if you allow it to happen. Tectone's new, not gonna lie, saying that players are greedy in the context of Gacha games is a really out-of-touch take. Yeah, just stop losing your 50-50s. Dumbasses. Hey, if you lose a 50-50, you don't deserve to clear MOC. You really didn't go hard on Mr. Pokey for what he did like Gacha Smack wanted you to do. Since you like proof, check his video. Before today, he doubled down and said people are stupid for not understanding the tweet, even though he misspoke. You can literally check his Twitch for proof. He was blaming the players for the most part, but not the company. Check Gacha Smack video is rolling video for proof. He thinks the amount of pools are fine, even though how fast the game is rolling out the characters is hard to keep up. Hey, just start a new account. Hey, just take Pokey's advice. Take Pokey's advice, start a new account, pull the Herda, and say fuck you to every other previous banner released. Right? Because he said the game's on a good path. Just take his advice. Just take his advice. Start a new account, say fuck you to all the old banners, just pull the Herda, and yeah, just pull all the strong characters after that. You'll be in a good spot. I'm actually mind blown. Frankly, I'm actually mind blown. He sold to Hoyo. Yeah. All right, guys. So this was, to me, I just progressively got more and more frustrated as this video went on. I think I stopped talking about Wuthering Waves at some point, and I was just baffled. I was just baffled at what I was actually hearing from one party and then not hearing from the other. And I'm gonna be honest, it's just, there is no accountability in this situation here. For like what we're saying, how we're justifying things, we're basically just like using like the worst reasoning and logic I think that has that's ever been experienced in the genre. And just saying things are okay. Just saying things are okay when they're literally not. Like, they literally are not. And then we're using reasoning and examples that are not even slightly equivalent to each other, but then just saying that they are. And it's just, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Yeah, that's the video. We'll see how short we can fucking cut it. But yeah, this is a little bit fucked, I'm gonna be honest. Peace out.